Yo, how we doing, everybody? Today, I wanted to ask the question, are you a serious drummer? Now, to answer this, we gotta understand what that means. There's specific attributes that separate serious, great drummers from Johnny down the street that practices 5 minutes a year, tells all his friends he's a drummer. So, in order to be different from that, and again, there's nothing wrong with that. But in order to take things more seriously and get to that next level, there's specific attributes that all the greats have. The first is strategy. A serious drummer is strategic and organized. Organization maybe can fall a little bit if you're just more blessed to be able to focus, right? But some of us aren't, and we got to organize everything. I track all my practice, I plan all my practice, and the greatest I know who can accomplish more in a week than many I've seen in years, they're massively organized as well. But what does strategy actually look like? What does this organization actually look like? It means that you dedicate specific amounts of time to specific ideas. For example, if I want to get good at single strokes, just the most basic example, right? Am I going to sit down and am I just going to play single strokes around the kit for 30 minutes straight without a click and just hope I get better? Well, honestly, you will get a little bit better, and we all know that. Like, you get slightly better when you do stuff like that, but you can get way better in way less time if you simply say, okay, for the next 2 weeks, I'm going to practice singles for 20 minutes each day, and I'm going to just pick a variety of tempos to practice that at, starting from as slow as I can possibly handle, going up to something that is like within the range of my max, but probably not my max, because if we just try to max out every time, we're going to be sloppy, right? And these are things we learn through time. Like, many of us already know this stuff. That's what's going to get to your goals. And you got to do that with everything you do. And you got to reevaluate constantly. And you got to look at different ways to approach it each time that you work on a new idea. Or if you look at your singles after that 2 week period, they're not where you want to be. Well, you got to figure out, okay, what did I do wrong in this process to not get better singles? Like, it shouldn't be possible to have worse singles now, right? So strategy is about guaranteeing success and guaranteeing that you don't fail. We've all heard, you don't practice until you get it right, you practice until you can't get it wrong. Now, next is the willingness to fail. Now, I just said we're trying to guarantee avoiding failure, but we also got to be ready and prepared and willing to fail. When you first get into gigging, your first ever gig, it's highly unlikely that you're not going to drop a stick, that you're going to play every song perfect, that you're going to have no stage fright, that everything's just going to go how you want. But just because you dropped that stick, just because the audience was literally laughing while you were playing, just because the band sounded terrible, doesn't mean that you can stop and just give up on drums if this is what you want to do, if you want to be serious. You got to just take that as a learning experience, go through that failure, and just hit it harder and harder in the practice room, and maybe even try to find new opportunities to get out in front of more people so you can destroy whatever it was that was messing with your head, right? So willingness to fail. Next is willingness to suffer and to struggle. Nobody gets into music thinking it's a get rich quick scheme. Like, the idea of music as a career is still extremely foreign to the vast majority of people. But it is possible. The thing is that you'll never know if you were capable of achieving your goal if you don't struggle for it. Like, let's think about Rocky as just the first example that comes to my head, right? This dude's literally just running around, like, doing practically nothing with no skills, making no money, doing odd jobs, doing random stuff, till he figures out that he can be the best at fighting, right? And he's willing to give it literally everything and struggle through every moment and sweat those stares out in his sick sweatshirts, right? Until he gets the massive prize. But if you didn't go for it and you didn't try to go through all those bad gigs, to have no money, to be in a place that you don't know anybody and try to make connections and be a musician and fail and struggle and only eat dollar meals and maybe even you sleep in your car sometimes, like, or maybe you take a tour that pays $1,000 for a month because it's the only option, or maybe you take a lower paying gig because it's going to give you more skills, but you have to clear your schedule for that, so you can't work and you can't make as much money as you need to make in that time, right? If you honestly approach it with as much passion, as much energy as you possibly can, if you honestly approach it and you still fail, I just don't even know how that's possible, because if you implement the strategies of a serious drummer, you'll be guaranteed to succeed. It's just guaranteed. Like the science, the math, it's just guaranteed, man. Next, you gotta take things to the next level. I'll give a personal example on this one. I got lucky because I got a call for a tour and I was given a month to prepare the material. If you're ever given a month to prepare for a tour, that is a lucky situation, because the vast majority of time you're gonna get the call 2 days before, 3 days before at most. And you're gonna have to just learn as much as you possibly can right then and there and on the flight to the place. But I had a month for this. And I've had those other situations, of course. But I had a month for this one. So what would most people do when they have a month to prepare for something? Most people would say, okay, I have the skills to accomplish this. I'm gonna play the songs like a couple times a day. I'm gonna listen to them a couple times a day, and I'm just gonna keep doing my regular strategies. And I'm just gonna keep it going, and I'm gonna make sure that what got me here is gonna keep me there. And that's a great mindset to have. Like, of course, the more that you do the good things that got you where you were, the better you'll be. However, for this specific situation, you got to learn this specific stuff. So this strategy is different. I was given a month. So I said, every single day for 30 days, I'm bringing my drums up to the mountain where no one else is, where no one can distract me, where probably no one's even going to hear it, because I'm like out in this clearing. I might run into 1 or 2 people. And I'm going to practice from sunrise to sunset, and usually past that too. And I'm going to get my Slowdowner app, and I'm going to chart out every single song, and I'm going to play each song until I literally get sick of them, until I know literally every note of every instrument. And that's what I did. And of course, after about 15 days, I was able to take the skeletons of the songs that I learned note for note and then add my own touch to them. And then by the time I went onto the tour, I was able to play things at a more advanced level, right? Or at a different level. I shouldn't say more advanced. Of course, it was more advanced than when I started, but a different level. I was able to approach things in a whole new way because I took this strategy and I really just stuck to it for 30 days straight. I was guaranteed to succeed, and I did. I got called back. Now, this ties into my next point, which is the ability to ignore, but also to say no, right? So, a lot of times, just because you get an opportunity, it might look great, but there might be circumstances around it that you just have to say no. I was offered a $750 opportunity, and I thought, okay, $750, I could use that. Who couldn't use $750? And it looks like it's going to be about a 3-day thing, right? That's what it says in the description. 3 days. $750 in 3 days. Okay, not terrible. $250 a day. But then I looked deeper into it. And that $750 is 3 main days, but 7 more days on top of that, right? So on top of preparing, doing all that work that I have to do on my own, I got to do 7 days of work, rehearsals, doing other various things in order to fulfill this opportunity, right? And then basically get $75 a day at the end of it. So you got to say no to certain things, right? Because you clear out your schedule, you do all this stuff, you do all this preparation, you have all these strategies, but your value is not being properly met. So saying no, right? And then ignoring. That's different. Ignoring is different because ignoring is more about ignoring what's around you. So we have to have a competitive spirit, and we got to be knowing that in order to get the gig, we got to do it better than the next guy, right? We can't just be like, oh, I'll just do it kind of good and I'll probably just have the gig and it'll be fine. We got to be competitive, but we can't let ourselves just look at all these Instagram guys that get 1 million views for dousing their drums in gasoline and doing stick tricks and lighting stuff on fire and exploding their whole house and think, okay, we got to do that. You got to ignore things when you know that your strategy works. I'm sorry, the sun is super in my face right now, so I'll wrap up this video. But yeah, so those are a lot of the attributes that I see in serious drummers. Now, these are things that I try to emulate myself. These are things that I know that the greats did and are doing, and these are things that my friends who are amazing professional drummers are doing. Now, they might not do every single one of these things because some people are just more gifted, and some people have their other strategies as well, and some people just know things that we don't, right? There's ways to really maximize your time that we go through life learning as we go. But the vast majority of these attributes, all the best drummers I know have. So if you really want to step up your abilities, your skills, and your strategies and really go deeper on all these things, because of course I have tons more information on these things and I have practical implementation of these things, but I can't go into that in a 15-minute YouTube video, and I can't just give that all away for free. Like, there's so much experience that I have that is valuable and that I can offer to you if you're serious about taking this instrument to the next level. So if you're interested in studying with me and learning about how to do these things and how to really take this instrument seriously, send me an email at delaradrums@gmail.com. I'll try to put it right there in the video so that you can just send me an email and we'll talk about the options that I have. What I do is a coaching service. I don't just do typical drum lessons where we meet once a week and we just go over the thing we did last week and then I send you home with a new thing. I've been there, done that. I've worked at the music stores. I've seen those approaches. What works better is a coaching approach where we go much deeper on everything and we go daily into, more specific things. We're not going to have an hour lesson every single day, but we are going to make sure that you're sticking to the plan, that you're expanding on the plan, and that I'm giving you new things to work on every time. So if that sounds like what you're interested in and you're serious about that, you need to be serious. Send me an email at delaradrums@gmail.com and we'll get to it. Apart from that, you have a nice night now. I'm going to get back to practicing.